Oh boy, we have all been waiting patiently ever since Nyx the Shield released Alternation, and now it's finally here, the opening for Underverse Season 2. Or at least that's what I have written in my script that was written almost 2 months ago. Sorry that this took so long to get out, but anyway, hey, what is up everyone? I'm Phil Games, and today I'm going to be carefully analyzing this season trailer of sorts and sharing my findings with you guys. Obligatory spoiler warning for Underverse, the X-Tale miniseries, the X-Tale comic, and potentially other Undertale AU related things as well, and let's get started. First off, as I just mentioned, the soundtrack that plays here is called Alternation, which means the repeated occurrence of two things in turn. An interesting name, and I have no idea exactly what it could be referring to, but I just thought I'd point that out before we get to the actual video. The opening begins with 10 stars falling towards a city, which we have seen from previous art is in the X-Tale universe. These stars represent the 10 main characters, or bosses, from X-Tale, each of which were given the Heart Locket during one of X-Tale's 10 timelines that took place before Underverse Season 1. And just a note about that, if you're not caught up on the X-Tale miniseries that goes over each of these timelines, you need to watch them, because based on this opening, it looks like they could become very important. So then what's the deal with this purple star in the center? Well, my first instinct would be to say that it is most likely X-Gaster or even X-Alphys, but if that were the case, then that would mean that one of the 10 others are not here. This missing one could represent Kara, who looks like he'll be turning against X-Gaster, but based on later shots, I believe that it is Cross, who was last taken to the Omega timeline by Dream. It's also worth noting that these characters are no longer represented by Heart Lockets as they were even in the animation that plays like as a cover art over the Alternation soundtrack. We then see Frisk, Undertale Frisk that is, standing in some sort of canyon. There's smoke all around them indicating some kind of destruction. Maybe the canyon was even formed by the strange creature we see when the camera tilts up. But what even is this thing? It's clearly under X-Gaster's control, as we can tell by the purple eye, but it's really hard to get a clear look at it because of the strange light coming from the right, which I have no idea what that could be from either. But we have actually seen this thing before in Jackie's artwork. The first place I remember seeing it was actually on her speed art of X-Azrael. You know what that means? That's right. I think we could be looking at X-Tale's version of Omega Flowey. Also, it's really hard to tell, but that is actually X-Gaster standing on top of that thing. So that gives you an idea of just how huge it is. Next, we see Undertale Frisk facing X-Gaster, then a shot of both their souls, then the two of them again. Not much to note here, except that Frisk is wearing the Heart Locket that they had given to Sans before he left to track down Cross in 0.1. The last we saw it, Sans dropped it on the ground after being returned back to his universe at the end of Season 1. This then transitions to X-Alphys wielding her greatest weapons, by which I mean literally the only things that she can do anything with, the archived memories from the previous timelines. One major thing to note here is everyone's eye color. Most are normal, and Kara's eyes, or at least the one that we can see, is red, which also makes sense. The weird part is that Frisk's eye is purple. We know that Frisk lost control of the overwrite button when he died at the end of the X-Tale comic, and we already saw earlier in the video that X-Gaster's soul is still whole, meaning that he has not given any control over the button back to Frisk. The only other character besides the two of them that has purple eyes is Alphys, whose personality was actually completely overwritten by X-Gaster at the end of Timeline 5. Based on the brief glimpse that we've seen of X-Frisk since the end of Season 1, in the short video formerly titled 6-7 in Roman numerals that is now apparently called 0.4.2, it doesn't seem like Frisk's personality is all that different, but I guess we'll just have to see. If it is the case that X-Gaster did overwrite Frisk's personality though, it's kind of strange that he didn't do the same with everyone else. maybe he was just able to manipulate them all to fight for him, just like the X-Event was able to do at the end of the X-Tale comic. Cross is obviously missing from this section, as he gets a whole segment all to himself, but the Heart Locket breaking could mean that he's not going to be so quick to forgive Kara. On the other hand, it could actually represent future conflict with X-Frisk, since he was the one who actually gave Cross the locket in Timeline 10, and they seem to have a special friendship even in other timelines, like Timeline 2. We then see some shots of Cross, first as he's remembering his lost home, then where he actually is, the Omega timeline. Then he turns around to see the 9 white stars from the first shot forming the shape of an X, which, if you haven't noticed, is a common motif in this series, and X-Gaster's creepy smile and hands loom above him. Then finally, we get to the AU characters. First, we have 2 returning characters, Core Frisk by Doku Doki, who is holding some drawings of what looks like could be Cross, and Error Sans by Crayon Queen / Lover of Piggies, and 1 new character, Geno Sans, also by Crayon Queen. For those of you who don't know, Geno is from a comic called Aftertale, which actually takes place in an alternate timeline of Undertale rather than an AU. In this AT, Kara completely takes over Frisk's body, leaving Frisk stuck on the save screen, and proceeds to do the genocide route over and over again. During one of these timelines though, Sans sees Papyrus die, and so he injects determination into himself. Kara still beats him, but Sans realizes he now has some control over the timeline and saves right before he dies, which makes him end up stuck on the save screen with Frisk. But then, after the next reset, another Sans is created from 8/9 of his soul, so the old Sans, now calling himself Geno, brings the new Sans to the save screen and tries to convince him to bring Kara there so that he can finally kill them and end the cycle. It's something like that anyway. Geno lies so much in the comic that it's hard to figure out exactly what happened. It's unclear what point in Aftertale's story this part of Underverse will happen, but we know it takes place before the end since Geno still has the glitch covering his right eye. And he's technically not supposed to be able to leave the save screen, but if people want him in their story, they will find and have found ways to make that happen. I guess that means that alternate timelines can have their own alternate timelines? I don't know, this stuff gets confusing. And apparently Geno and Error are actually canonically the same person, since remember the 2 of them were created by the same person, with Geno eventually somehow ending up in the Anti-Void and turning into Error. I don't know if that's going to have been the case in Underverse, but still, we are going to have some major alternate timeline-ception going on here. Now, we've known about Geno's eventual inclusion in the series basically ever since the very first teaser, but the next character is a little more of a surprise, or at least was to me. Fatal Error by Zedramon. I hope I'm saying that right. This version of Sans was actually created when Error tried to kill Geno, but Geno didn't completely die because of his determination. He actually lost his mind and became an Error himself, losing everything except his love for Papyrus, and now he goes around the multiverse killing different versions of Sans and taking bits of their code to try and reassemble his brother. So yeah, unless Fatal Error is actually created in this way during the season, this is going to cause even more alternate timeline-ception. He also seems to have a deeper connection to the Gaster from his universe in the comic, so that might end up coming into play somehow. Next, we see returning characters Dream and Nightmare by Jokublog, followed by a few quick images of previous points in the story of X-Tale. First, from before or maybe even during Timeline 1, before Frisk and Kara realized that X-Gaster was a psychopath, then of Frisk as the X-Event, so sometime during or after Timeline 7, then of X-Gaster holding the vial containing half of his soul. Yes, that is only half because he keeps the half of Kara's soul that he has, and the X-Event still has the other half of X-Gaster's soul. And this would be sometime during Timeline 9. And then, finally, a shot of Ink and Cross being friends, a drawing stop after X-Tale was destroyed at the end of Timeline 10. Then more characters, Killer Sans by this guy, Fresh also by Crayon Queen, and Ink Sans by Kamiet/Miebi. Look at how smug he looks, the little... Then we see Cross wielding his awesome new weapons. followed by another shot of Frisk facing off against X-Gaster, and let me just say that I am hyped to see Underverse make Undertale Frisk be the one who's going to fight the main villain. It is going to be awesome. Also, Gaster is standing on one of his own hands for no reason other than to look cool. Also, the man has still not created himself some new legs. Next, we see the only shots we have of Undertale Sans in the entire opening, and he is walking alone in the woods. I wondered at first if he was still moping around, super traumatized after what happened at the end of 0.4, but then he turns around and smiles as if everything was normal. This could just be Sans doing what he normally does, pretending that everything's okay when really it's like, really not okay. Or he could be doing something else that's actually important in the woods. Or maybe it's just an interesting backdrop for the opening, who knows? I have to keep reminding myself that this isn't an actual trailer. Then we see Papyrus, Asgore, Toriel, and Undyne looking off into the distance. There isn't actually much to get from the shot itself, but I have heard that there is going to be a full-on X-Tale versus Undertale battle of some sorts going on at some point, which I am very down for. A lot of you might know more about this, and basically everything else I've speculated about, because based on my track record with Glitchtale, there's probably a ton of stuff that Jackie has said about the future of Underverse that I have not seen. So if you know something that I don't, please tell me because I want to know. And last, we have our final shot before the title, which might actually be the most interesting shot in the whole video. X-Tale Kara standing behind Undertale Frisk, who is about to press the save button. There are a bunch of things to talk about here. Let's start with Kara. As we saw in the 0.4.2 short I mentioned earlier, X-Gaster restored both Kara and Frisk as adults. That's not what's weird here. What's weird is that he's holding a purple sword. Based on what we've seen so far, Kara should not have control over the overwrite button at all anymore, so his weapons should be red. And is it just me, or is one of his eyes purple too? Unless X-Gaster for some reason gave him back some control over the button, which seems highly unlikely, then I can't think of any way that this would be possible. Unless, maybe, Kara got it from a different source. We still have no idea where the power of X-Gaster's soul came from, or why he seems to be the only one in the entire multiverse to have such a soul. What if X-Kara, and maybe even X-Frisk as well, got the power of creation that X-Gaster has from somewhere else? Maybe it could be from the same place X-Gaster got it in the first place, the source of the power itself. We have no idea what that could be, or even if this season will delve into these mysteries, but it certainly could happen. The opening then finishes with the title, above which are floating many of the universes that Error ripped to pieces, reminding us that the stakes of this season is the entire multiverse. And speaking of, you may have noticed that we see absolutely no sign of any other universes besides Undertale and X-Tale in this entire opening. So yeah, they're not coming back, at least not anytime soon. And that about does it for my analysis. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, if you know something about this upcoming season that I didn't mention, or if I messed up on a detail somewhere, or if you have a theory about something, or just anything really, feel free to say so in the comments. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. That is crazy. That happened so fast. Obviously, there's a big reason for that. Thank you again to Cami for posting my video on her channel. That kind of is basically what got me started in having an audience at all, so I would not be this far without her having done that for me, so thank you again. This video wasn't originally meant to be like a 1,000 subscriber special or anything, so I'm glad that it was about done at around the time when I reached this, because I have no idea what I would do for a video like that besides basically what I'm doing now. So yeah, this was recorded forever ago and was never intended to be a 1,000 subscriber special, but here we are. I definitely do hope to be able to keep making videos for a long time, even with like the whole Kappa situation thing. We'll see what happens there. I think I'm just gonna roll with it until it like actually starts affecting a lot more people, because I haven't really heard much about it affecting a ton of people yet. So we'll just see what happens with that. But for now, I do have some plans for the future. I am working on the revised version of the Glitch Tale timeline with episode 7 Hate in it, so that will be coming soon-ish. Also, I have decided, I think I'm going to stick with this. I've changed the direction of my channel multiple times, but I think I'm going to stick with this for now, that I want to keep my channel mostly focusing on talking about stuff related to Undertale and Kingdom Hearts. So I'm going to be doing kind of like a rebrand of my channel, just changing profile pic, channel banner, stuff like that. That's going to be happening around the time when the next video is ready, which I'll try to have a Kingdom Hearts and an Undertale video being worked on at hopefully at about the same stage of production at the same time at most times, so there should be somewhat even amounts of content for either thing. I actually have 3 people who are interested in editing my videos now, so I can have one do Kingdom Hearts stuff, one do Undertale stuff, and then the other one, I think I'm going to have do just basically anything else that I want to do. Like, I do want to continue my Playing Old Games for Fun series. I already sent him a video for that I recorded months ago to edit, so that I can keep going on both of those series that I'm doing for that, because I really like those games, and I've been debating whether to play them, whether to just play them off camera or whether to keep the series going. So I think I am going to keep it going. I don't know if you guys will end up watching it, but it's fun for me to make, so I am going to keep doing that. So yeah, those might be the next videos that I do. Obviously, there will be the Glitch Tale timeline, X-Tale 9 reaction, probably another Union Cross main story update coming soon-ish, and then after that, my big Kingdom Hearts and Undertale related videos are going to be a Kingdom Hearts one, ranking all of the games by story only, because that's how I was into those games for quite a long time. And then the Undertale related one is actually going to be about Glitch Tale. I'm going to be saying why I think Megalomaniac got so popular and basically was able to spawn Glitch Tale in the first place. So that is what I will be doing next, and hopefully I will see you guys in at least one of those, hopefully more, and hopefully for what is the next milestone? Does 2,000 count as a milestone? 5,000? Whatever. Just it is just a number, but it's still cool. Just for the future of my channel. And so yeah, I will see you guys then. Bye.